If you are a fan of Marvel, DC Comics, and versus matchups that combine massive characters from each verse, smash the like button and comment down below which versus matchup you want to see next. Okay, so this is a crucial battle in terms of cosmological horror type characters matching up between Marvel and DC. On one hand, we have Empty Hand, who some believe maybe the reader themselves, like the evil reader that puts the book down at the end of the day. On the other hand, we have Oblivion, the end of everything and nothing itself in Marvel Comics. If these two similar monstrous abstracts were to collide, who would come out on top? I'm going to give you my opinion on the matchup today. Real quick, check out the coffee shop members in the video description down below. Specifically, check out my boy Don. He's basically operating as like a second channel of mine as well. And we're going to be uploading my Star Wars story content over there. So definitely give that a look when you have a chance. But let's get back on topic. So I have made videos recently on both these characters, kind of giving a breakdown on their powers and what they bring to the table. So I won't waste your time too long with that today. I'm going to go over briefly each character, why this battle's interesting, and ultimately who I think would win / currently scales higher. Now, quick preface. Empty Hand has returned to DC, so he might get an upgrade later. So if he does, I'll revisit this topic if it changes the battle at all, which it might not. So let's begin. First of all, who's Oblivion? Oblivion is nothingness in Marvel. He's most notorious for having allowed one of his infinitesimal avatars to nearly destroy all in its entirety the Marvel multiverse, which of course would include gods themselves, and was even considered Chaos King. That is, his avatar was considered a rival to Eternity himself, who is existence itself. Oblivion is also credited and notorious for having stated that he has never actually revealed his true form. That is, he states, if he was to actually reveal his true form to the readers, if we were to see his true form, we would literally cease to exist, and that's no fun to him. And he said that himself in a conversation he had with the reader. So we've never actually seen his true form. And kind of the last bit of tidbit of information you need on him going into this battle is that Galactus himself has stated before that if all the abstracts were to battle and would cease to exist battling, the only winner would be Oblivion himself. Kind of implying that at the end of everything, which would include the stories, Oblivion will continue to exist because of his level of existence and who and what he represents, which is nothing itself. Nothing will be there when everything is gone. That is what Oblivion is. Now, let's look at the other side of the story. Why do people think Empty Hand's a great matchup for Oblivion? That's pretty easy once you look into the backstory of Empty Hand. Empty Hand is a character that actually originally came from a multiverse that did not have comic book characters. They viewed comics as fake. But eventually their science, which was beyond physics itself, allowed them to create, I believe it's called the Ultra Gem, which powered Ultra Comics. Ultra Comics, powered by a gem made of literally imagination itself, would eventually exit the multiverse, enter another multiverse, as he would eventually go on to actually become the Empty Hand itself, even becoming a multiverse itself, and transcending the idea and becoming more. Now, what's Empty Hand bring to the table? How is he looked at scaling wise? Well, Empty Hand's actually resurrected Darkseid before. He has stated before and fought beings that could kill the reader. It was actually initially in the fight against the Gentry. It was stated that they were worried if the Gentry kept getting stronger, the reader would have to put the book down, or else the reader was threatened to get taken over by the likes of the Gentry, and the Gentry ends up scaling below Empty Hand. Empty Hand as well should have narrative manip. Is in consideration for the strongest villain in DC Comics right now, as he is in their new Infinite Evil title chase with Darkseid and many others. And overall, because he potentially represents the reader themselves, like saying, even when the book is put down, I will exist. He does have a lot of narrative qualities that are reminiscent of Oblivion, who hasn't been shown that much throughout Marvel, which makes sense because the abstracts aren't going to be featured that much. But he actually has more features than the Empty Hand, and it's kind of cool to see narrative similarities between the two, as both will exist when the story ends. So, if these two were to clash in a colossal abstract battle of nothing versus the end and after the end, that is the Empty Hand that resets, who would win? So this is a weird one. I could see narratively it being like a draw, kind of. I could see people going that way, but if I had to put money on one side going into this battle, it would be Oblivion. So we have seen Empty Hand, we've seen the Gentry, all that, and eventually they were threats to Reader, right? I'm going to give you my win con here. To keep it simple, we can't even see Oblivion apparently. If we saw the true form of Oblivion, we would cease to exist. We can see Empty Hand and Gentry and all them. They never, to me, seem to get to that threat level of Oblivion, literally saying, yo, you can't even see me, you'll die. So, for that reason, I feel like he's Oblivion scales slightly above. It's a little safer to say he's above because he's a more literal passive threat to the reader, whereas Gentry and Empty Hand type threats develop into threats against the reader. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think Empty Hand is stronger? Feel free to disagree. Just keep it polite in the comment section down below. And let me know who you think wins. I just happen to think the story and feats of Oblivion and the fact that literally he would passively kill the reader just gives him a little more weight in this conversation for me. And I believe currently he scales above Empty Hand. Again, if Empty Hand gets a massive update, I might bring him back and run this back if it changes the battle. But like I said, let me know in the comment section down below. Remember to like the video. It helps support my channel as we're on the road to 20K now. But anyways, it's been your boy, YFV. I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.